everybody, how are you all? Hope you are doing fine. Today we are going to see about the reasons why these breakups happen and how to cope with it. So before that, we should know why people fall in love, because it has to start from there so that we can come out with a very good solution. As opposed to what everybody thinks, love or infatuation or opposite sex attraction, it happens right from a very young age. So the moment you feel that there is something different in the opposite sex, that is the exact time you start feeling that disturbance of opposite sex attraction. So it is from there you start feeling love. You may not know literally, but still subconsciously you are feeling it, and you do not know what to do with that till you reach a certain age, and before which the whole world in the form of media, friends and relatives, they all keep on brainwashing you that love is something that's divine, that's very beautiful, that's something a guy and girl should seek in their lifetime. So you are brainwashed with that kind of thoughts. So when you reach a certain age, you start looking at the members of the opposite sex, and you do it secretly initially. Then as time goes by, then you start speaking with the members of opposite sex, then and the media, they have their major role in brainwashing you that there is more to it, like there is something very interesting in getting to know about the opposite sex in terms of sexual aspects. So that's when, using the technology of modern times, people tend to dig deep into knowing each other's body. So what happens during this course of time is they get deprived of the soul energy. That is something nobody takes care of. So after reaching their teens, they usually fall in love with the other. The main reason being they don't have the power to stand alone. So when they become horribly weak, that is exactly when they fall for the opposite sex. Nobody knows that it is actually weakness. It is not something to say it with pride that I have a girlfriend, I have a boyfriend. The correct meaning of saying so is I'm very weak now. That's the thing. So after falling in love with a girl or a guy, what happens is your soul power decreases at a very fast rate. So at some point, for most of the people, it ends in a breakup. That's when it starts to hurt really bad. But to make you this weak, the process started right from your childhood, but you were not aware of it. Nobody taught you that. It was not in the religious book, it was not in the academic books. So how can anyone know of that? So even after getting hurt, you wouldn't know the real reason behind that. You would just think that you would just blame that girl or guy for causing this heartache for you, but they were just the external factors. But what made you suffer such horrible pain is your weakness, is your lower soul power. So what usually happens after that is people suddenly try to cling on to somebody else. They become somebody else's boyfriend or girlfriend, and they think it would persist. So mainly they do to come out of the pain that was caused as a result of the previous relationship. But well, it might work for a little time. What happens after that is you will go through the same phase where even that relationship will break up 90% of the times. So now the pain is going to be much higher. Not only that, what nobody knows about it is whether you fail in that relationship or you get married. Your soul power is still decreasing at a very fast rate, because that's the power of lust. Lust has the power to drain the soul power, which is essential to keep you happy. So what we should have done at the very early age, when you had that attraction towards opposite sex, somebody should have taught you that this is going to drain your soul power to a dangerous level. Unfortunately, there's nobody to warn you about that, because nobody is aware of that. So what happens is, as you mature in terms of the worldly knowledge, because it is not actually getting matured, you're actually becoming weak. So what happens is you start developing bad traits, psychotic behaviors. So that's going to cause pain both for yourselves and to the others surrounding you. That's the outcome of the decrease in the soul power, but nobody knows that. So what we should have done is, we should have saved ourselves from the opposite sex attraction. So that is the main purpose of all religions, but we pay very less attention to that, because attachment to anybody is a sin, but attachment plus lust is going to make you commit more and more sins, so that you will be punished more and more in future and present. So if you are already suffering from a breakup, what should you do? Well, whatever mind says, don't do it. Just you wake up from that position and start focusing on something that you are really interested in before you break up, before you fall into this relationship at all. So there should be something that you really love, right? So that needs your mental attention. So take that kind of work and put all your effort into that till you get a real good success out of it. But for that, what you should do is, you should immediately stop listening to the music, to the news. You have to cut all sorts of conversations about this worldly life with anybody. So that way, the rate at which your soul loses its power is dramatically decreased. Now you have to develop passion for that work, more than the passion that you developed over your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. So it has to be so. So once you get the success by doing that work, that's going to give you a fulfilling happiness, because that's when you will realize the amount of time you've been wasting all your life. So only now you're facing your capabilities. So you would be cursing yourself for not using it for so long, and you would immediately find out that falling in love takes your time, your precious time out of you. So, when you start tasting success in the work you really love, then you will know that love actually eats your significant amount of time. Thereby, you feel yourself like a failure, incapable of doing anything great in life. So, it is by conquering lust you can attain anything. So, you need a solid proof to believe that. For that solid proof, you have to start focusing on what you want to do right away. So that's the key thing that should go on in your mind continuously. Don't even let anything else, not only the thought of your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, but don't leave anything that is not related to work enter your mind, because that's going to decrease your soul power. So you want the soul power at its maximum to perform any work effectively and easily. So lust or love is the number one enemy in stealing the soul power, thereby making us more weak, so that when the relationship breaks up, you will feel an intense pain, not only out of the breakup but also due to sudden death of your loved ones, or anything unexpected if happens, then you will be feeling so much pain that you may even want to commit suicide. But one common problem with practicing what I said is you couldn't concentrate on your work, you couldn't take your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend out of your mind immediately. So what is the main reason? That is, your soul has become very weak, that it cannot control your mind anymore. So to bring the mind under your control, all you need to do is to increase the soul power. So by cutting all the connections to the world, whether it is the internet medium or the television programs or the friends who are communicating unnecessarily with worldly things, you need to cut all of them. So that's going to decrease the amount of soul power that you are losing. But in order to increase the soul power, there is only one way, that is to connect yourself directly to the God, who is the powerhouse. So it is by remembering God as a point of light that your soul derives power. The power gets saved gradually in your soul. Our soul shines like a tiny star in between our eyebrows, which is why Indians have the habit of wearing a red dot here called bindi. So we have to consider ourselves as a tiny point of light, and also we have to consider God also as a tiny point of light, because he is also a soul, which is why he is called the Supreme Soul, because he is supreme to us. He is of higher status than all souls. We souls resided with God in the beginning in this soul world called Parandam or Parlok. So it is a golden red colored light world, and we, before taking bodies, would dwell here along with our Godfather, and that God is called God Shiva by Hindus, Heavenly Godfather by Christians, Allah by Muslims. Yes, God is one. All religions name differently. That's it. So another difference between we souls and God is we take birth in earth. and we complete this 5000 year time cycle, which is called a kalpa, and in the end God himself enters an old man's body and start giving this teaching, in which he says this world in its first half, that is for the first 2500 years, this earth was heaven, in which we were deities or angels. The reason we were called deities is we were filled with divine characters while we were in heaven. So it was heaven, it was filled with gold, diamond, and all precious jewels. So not only that, we would look very beautiful, we would be very healthy, happy, and wealthy throughout the first 2500 years. After the completion of first 2500 years, the same earth which was once heaven becomes hell, and we start experiencing pain only in heaven and never even once in heaven. Why all of a sudden we started experiencing pain in the hell is we forget the fact that we are the souls, because in heaven we used to be conscious of the fact that we are souls that shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, and we are totally distinct from this body. So that is why their eyes didn't go towards the body. Instead, if they are interacting with someone, they would just watch the forehead in between the eyebrows, so that they could see only the soul and not this body. So it's obvious that they wouldn't fall for lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, mainly because a star can never have lust towards another star, right? So that's the reason they had that enormous power of making anything happen. Like they can make it rain or make the rain to stop just with the power of thought. You know how they had that power? That is because their soul power was at its maximum, mainly because there is no factor to decrease the soul power like lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. Nobody there knows what lust is. They would be very beautiful, but they wouldn't see each other lustfully. So they don't even know what lust is. They would be that childish. That is why they were filled with that power. But on completing the first 2500 years, when they start entering hell, they forget the fact that they are ended souls. Instead, they would wrongly consider themselves as this perishable body. Thereby, they become slaves for the sensual pleasures, which is why they start feeling sorrow and pain all along, because these five vices will invariably end in pain and sorrow. God comes in the end to reveal this secret, and also he comes with a good news saying that your days in hell is over. Now it is time for you to go back to heaven, because after the completion of heaven there would be hell, and after the completion of hell there would be heaven again. Not only that, there is another significance to this world time cycle of 5000 years that is called a kalpa. Whatever happens in one kalpa, that keeps repeating accurately kalpa after kalpa. So to understand it very easily, if you're watching this video now, it obviously means you watched it 5000 years back on the very same day, and it was 2020 back then also. Not only that, even after 5000 years on the very same date, you would still be watching the same video on the very same day. So to get back to heaven, all we need to do is to increase the soul power. How do we do that? We have to consider ourselves as this imperishable soul that is entirely different and distinct from this perishable body, and remember God also as a point of light that shines in the golden red colored world. So we have to think of God as a star that shines in the orange colored sky. So this is how we remember God. The more we remember God, the more a trembling sensation we would feel right here in the forehead, which means our past sins are getting burnt or washed off. So the sins are nothing but those five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So you would feel for yourself that you are no longer disturbed by anything that's provoking lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. So you would be as peaceful and blissful as God. So all you need to do is to bring consciousness to the fact that you are remembering God always, constantly. That's the only thing we need to do, in addition to listening to God's words that is being taught as Murli in all Rajayogi meditation centers free of cost. It is available across the globe. To locate the address, you can send me a WhatsApp or SMS to this number +91 98 946 71743. So as I mentioned earlier regarding the issue of breakup, we need to remember God and increase the soul power while we were focusing our mind on something that we really want to do. So you have to put all your mind into that. So usually what people do during breakups, they would be listening to the songs that induce more and more sadness in them, but that's not the right option. You not only the sad songs, it is better if you just ignore that habit altogether, because that's going to decrease your soul power too. So you have to bring your attention inwards to the fact that you are the soul. Not only that soul, the soul is in itself a source of happiness, blissfulness, and peacefulness. So if we focus our attention in between our eyebrows as a point of light, then you will gradually start feeling that blissfulness that's coming from within. But without knowing that, we were depending on the external things to bring peace and happiness to ourselves, but that's never going to be permanent. So if you want to be at peace and bliss permanently, the only way to do that is to connect yourself to your true self, that is the soul, and connect yourself to the Supreme Soul, God. So this is what you need to do. Now what happens is you can easily focus on whatever you want to focus, and you can easily succeed. And before that, as I said earlier, you have to protect yourself from your immediate surroundings. For that, what you need to do, you have to constantly remember God, and also constantly remember the knowledge given directly by God as Murli. So this is the only thing that's going to get you out of the pain for a permanent period of time. If instead you spend time listening to any sort of songs, what will happen is you will become more and more weak, so that as soon as you finish listening to that song, you will feel the pain is increasing double-fold and triple-fold. So that's not the wise thing to do, right? That's why, though it is difficult in the beginning to come to soul conscious, that is to consider yourself as soul, it gradually is going to be pretty easy for you. then no matter what happens in front of you, whether it's the love breakup or the death of your dear ones, you are still going to remain stable, you are still going to be at peace, because you are connected to the true self, because you know all souls have to leave its body at their own time. So what's the point of crying or feeling sad for them? So you will know all of these things where only when you listen to the morally direct words of God daily and keep on churning the knowledge, so that your mind is busy churning those positive thoughts. Thereby there is no time for you to think of anything negative or waste. So that's the only way, that's the surefire way to get over your breakup. So feel free to pass it on to your friends and relatives so that they can be saved. They can focus on something that really matters to their life, thereby bring happiness to their life. So please feel free to share this video to everybody you possibly can. And also, if you like this video, hit on like button and leave your valuable comments on the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe and hit on the notification bell, and then click on the all option so that all videos we publish will be notified to you short after that. Om Shanti. Thanks again for watching.